At the beginning, Ran dreams about her mother Eri getting shot. After waking up, she immediately calls Eri to ask if she is okay and tells her mother about her dream. The scene then briefly changes to a scene of a jail, where a man named Joe Murakami holds out a notebook that says, Baika City, Kogoro Mori. The scene transitions again to the detective boys waiting for Professor Agasa on a bench. While waiting, Ayumi plays with a love oracle, and the machine tells her and Conan are a perfect match. She then asks the oracle to tell Conan's romantic fortune, which is a chance for an kiss. Conan wonders just how old that machine is. A, B, and so on were very ancient expressions for romantic events. Agasa finally turns up and takes the detective boys to the Toto Aeronautic Memorial Museum. There are many kinds of helicopters and planes on display at the museum. Agasa wants to ask his traditional riddle to the children, but Mitsuhiko interrupts him and tells everyone he has also got a riddle for them. Mitsuhiko's riddle: 3 guys, born on New Year's Day, April Fools, and Children's Day, formed a club. What was their club called? The answer: Tanakai, reindeer. If you add up their birthdays, they become Tanakai, a kind of audiovisual pun. Conan figures out the answer, and they spot the photographer Shishido Ame taking pictures around the museum. Back at the Mori Detective Agency, Joe Murakami is shown knocking on the door. When he gets no answer, he leaves. Ran and Sonoko attend an autograph session with Minoru Nishina, who has written several cookbooks. Ran is a big fan of Nishina's and tells him to keep writing tasty books. The girls later go to a cafe, and Ran tells Sonoko about the fight that caused Kogoro and Eri to separate when she was 7 years old. Ran also says they are going to meet up with Eri for dinner at 7 o'clock that evening. Conan comes back home late just as Kogoro is getting ready for their dinner. The TV is on and Katsuyoshi Asashir, the owner of Aqua Crystal, a new entertainment complex, is being interviewed. Ran turns the TV off and tells Conan to hurry up and get changed. When they meet Eri at the restaurant La Fleur, she is as sharp as always, correctly guessing that Kogoro would be late because he played mahjong until late the night before. Hiroki Tsuji, a professional golfer and an acquaintance of Kogoro's, also enters the restaurant and Kogoro introduces him to his family. Tsuji explains he is currently training for the US Open. During dinner, Ran shows a surprising amount of knowledge about wine, explaining to Conan why the sommelier Kohei Sawaki wears a grape badge and what a taste vin is for. Eri and Kogoro realize their daughter has grown up a lot. Conan enjoys his meal as well. Ran notices he has got some foid in the corner of his mouth, and tries to wipe him off with a napkin. Conan thinks back to the oracle telling him he has a chance for a kiss and blushes. Kogoro interrupts them to wipe Conan's mouth off roughly. Kogoro and Eri get along surprisingly well during dinner. They remember going on a date to the same restaurant 10 years earlier and revel in the memory for a bit, when Kogoro suddenly notices Peter Ford, a journalist, near Tawako Okano. Kogoro gets jealous, believing Ford is flirting with Okano, and Eri angrily gets up and leaves as she has enough of Kogoro's flirting with other women. A week later, Inspector Magyar is shot by an arrow while out for a run. Kogoro, the detective boys, and Ran visit Magyar in the hospital. Shiratori tells them that the arrow was shot from a crossbow, and a western sword was found at the scene. Eri is at work and her assistant brings her a package with Sagoba chocolates. The brand is Eri's favorite and Kogoro used to give it to her as a present. She therefore believes Kogoro has sent the chocolates, trying to make up with her, eats one, and collapses to the floor. There was poison in the chocolate. Midori Kuriyama calls for an ambulance and gets Eri to the hospital in time so she survives the poisoning. There is a paper flower on the chocolate box that seems familiar to Conan. Conan visits Professor Agasa to get his skateboard repaired. Suddenly someone throws a rock through Agasa's front door. Agasa goes to look for the culprit and someone drives by on a motorcycle and shoots at him with a crossbow. Conan chases after the culprit with his skateboard but loses him at a crossroad. He contacts the detective boys with their micro-remitter and tells them to keep an eye out for a motorcycle. The children spot the culprit racing past them and quickly tell Conan, who gives chase. When the attacker sees Conan, he makes a sudden sharp turn and rides up and down a stairway. Conan tries to follow, but is distracted by an old woman who stumbles on the stairs, and loses sight of the attacker. Back at Agasa's house, Conan finds a mysterious object in the grass, and finally realizes the connection between the sword, the flower, and the strange object, as well as the victims. All objects relate to playing cards, with the sword, flower, and the odd object being held by the king, queen, and jack, respectively. Furthermore, Megur's first name Juzo can be read as 13. Eri's last name Kasaki means queen in English, and the last character of Agasa's first name Hiroshi is a combination of the characters for 10 and 1 or 11 in short. Megur visits Eri, Ran, Kogoro, and Conan in hospital to update them on the state of the investigation. The police believe the serial killer might be Joe Murakami, a former card dealer who was just released from prison. Kogoro says he wouldn't be surprised if Murakami was after him. After all, it was Kogoro who arrested him 10 years earlier. Shiratori wants to tell Ran and Conan all about the case, but Megur stops him, saying they now have to focus on preventing the next murder. They believe that Murakami is now after someone among Kogoro's friends or acquaintances whose name contains the word or character for 10. Kogoro is shocked as he realizes that he does indeed know a 10, Tawako Okano. Her name contains the word for 10, too. The police quickly dispatch 2 officers to guard Tawako's house. Shiratori is pressured by Ran and Conan and starts to explain the facts of the Murakami case to them. Murakami had just been interrogated at Kogoro's police precinct when Eri arrived at the station with a young Ran, because they wanted to surprise Kogoro and pick him up from work. Murakami was being led to his cell when he saw Eri and tried to escape, taking her hostage in the process. As part of his police training, Kogoro had been taught never to shoot in a hostage situation, but on that day he did, injuring Eri and causing Murakami to let go of her, leading to his safe arrest and transfer to prison. This was the case that led Kogoro to quit the police force. When Conan calls Ran as Shinichi later, she asks him if he would do the same if Ran was held hostage, even if it meant injuring Ran. Conan says that although Kogoro did shoot Eri, he wonders if that was the whole truth, and hangs up. At the agency, Conan later remembers another person with 10 in his name, Hiroki Tsuji. Megur, Kogoro, and Shiratori quickly rushed to Tsuji's house along with Ran and Conan. Tsuji was planning to go on a helicopter ride. The police warn him not to leave, but he refuses to cancel the trip. He does allow Megur and Kogoro to escort him to Toto Airport. Conan sneaks onto the helicopter as well. During the flight, Tsuji suddenly can't keep his eyes open any longer and can't tolerate sunlight. Conan attempts to land the helicopter at T10 Elementary. While doing so, he contacts the detective boys with their badge, asking them to help evacuate the schoolyard. The helicopter is caught by a downdraft and crashes onto the ground. Tsuji, Kogoro, Megur, and Conan just about escape before the helicopter explodes due to gas leaking out. The investigation reveals that someone replaced Tsuji's eye drops with mydriatic drops, which caused his pupils to dilate and become light-sensitive. Because the effect of this medicine wear off in 10 days to 2 weeks, Tsuji has to withdraw from the US Open. The search for the next target, a number 9, continues. Kogoro says he can't think of anyone, but he does know someone with an 8, Kohei Sawaki. Therefore, Megur, Shiratori, Ran, Conan, and Kogoro visit Sawaki at home to warn him. He shows them around and presents his large wine collection to them. Conan has a look through Sawaki's apartment and notices a dent in the floor. Sawaki explains he dropped a wine bottle. When asked about his plans for the next couple of days, Sawaki explains that he is supposed to meet Kazuyoshi Asahi in his not yet opened complex Aqua Crystal to discuss the restaurant Asahi plans to open in the building. Shiratori suddenly notices that Asahi has a 9 in his name. Everyone joins Sawaki for his meeting in the Aqua Crystal restaurant. To their alarm, Nana, 7, Osanai, Minoru Nishina, 2, Aimee Shishido and Peter Ford, his last name sounds like 4, are also waiting to board the monorail to the main building. All claim they have been summoned by Asahi. On the way to the restaurant, they also notice there is a 3 in Ninzaburo Shiratori's name. Ran is anxious when she realizes Shinichi could also be a target as Ichi means 1. Osanai and Nishina get into an argument. Osanai complains that a restaurant that Nishina recommended in his book was actually terrible and that he has no taste at all. She wants to challenge the critic once they arrive at the restaurant and gets him to taste a wine without looking, making him guess the type of grape. Nishina says it's a Chambertin but is wrong. As sommelier, Sawaki takes on the challenge as well and correctly detects a Beaujolais Moulin event. Everyone decides to get something to drink while they wait for Asahi to join them. Conan gets a box of juice for Ran and is surprised to see Kogoro help himself to a juice as well. When Conan goes back to the storeroom, he notices Sawaki with chili powder on his hand, apparently trying to taste it. The guests decide to explore the spacious wine cellar belonging to the restaurant. While they look for a wine, Sawaki narrowly avoids getting shot by an arrow, a trap with 8 of spades apparently set by Joe Murakami. The police worry that Asahi might already be dead. As the guests go back upstairs to the restaurant and prepare to leave, Asahi's dead body suddenly floats past them in the fish tank. Nana yells out in panic. Asahi has a 9 of spades on his chest. Kogoro decides to tell everyone about the ongoing investigation, saying he fears Joe Murakami, who has recently been released from prison, might target all of them. Conan notices Nana behaving strangely when Kogoro tells them about Murakami and asks her about it. Dejected, Nana reveals that she caused a serious accident 3 months ago. She was driving recklessly, as usual, and hit a motorcycle whose driver suffered serious injuries. Panicking, she fled the scene before the emergency services and the police arrived. The group heads for the emergency exit, which, to their dismay, has been blocked with cement. They decide to spread out to look for alternative exits and leave Nana with Ran and Conan in the restaurant. Conan wants to sneak off to help look for the emergency exit, but Ran catches him. There is a sudden blackout, which makes Nana panic. Conan notices a pink light and realizes her nail polish is actually fluorescent paint. The power comes back on and Nana lies dead on the ground. She has been stabbed. Conan immediately notices something unusual. On her body, there are 2 playing cards, the 7 and the Joker of Spades. The culprit must be right-handed according to the handprint on Nana's back, and the wine cork Nana had been playing with is missing. Conan sees the handprint on Nana's back and realizes it has been left by someone who is right-handed. This effectively excludes Joe Murakami, who is left-handed. Conan goes to get everyone something to drink from the storage and hands them glasses with mineral water. While watching them, he realizes who actually committed the murders. Just as he does so, a bomb causes the lights to shut down once again and a second bomb breaks the fish tank, causing the restaurant to flood. Everyone swims for their lives. Kogoro has to save Nishina, who can't swim. They eventually make it to a helicopter launch pad and Conan, terrified, realizes Ran is missing. Ran's feet got caught in the wheels of a car that was left in the restaurant. Conan swims back and dives to help her out but gets stuck as well. He falls unconscious, but Ran helps him by giving him oxygen in form of a kiss, before she passes out as well. Conan uses his elastic suspenders to move the car and helps Ran back to the surface. Sawaki point to the floating 2 to 6 of spades. Sawaki tries to resuscitate Nishina, but Shiratori blocks him and gives Nishina CPR instead. Conan hits Kogoro with his stun watch and presents his deductions. Conan explains that the murderer must be right-handed because of the handprint left on Nana's back. This means Murakami can't be the serial killer, he is left-handed. The actual serial killer is Kohei Sawaki. Sawaki suffers from aguisia, a neurological disorder that takes someone's sense of taste away completely. Conan explains he first became suspicious when he saw Sawaki tasting chili powder, something a sommelier who relies on his good sense of taste would never do. To prove his theory, he slipped salt into Sawaki's glass when he brought everyone glasses of mineral water and knew he was right when Sawaki didn't react after he drank. Nana also managed to slip the cork that she drew on in Sawaki's pocket when he stabbed her. Conan throw 5 cards of spades, 2-6 spade suit, to Sawaki as well as the ace of spades, a spade suit, that stands for Shinichi. Sawaki confesses. He explains Nana was responsible for the accident that caused his incurable condition and that he also wanted to take revenge on Tsuji, Asahi, and Nishina. Tsuji requested Sawaki's services for a party and proceeded to make fun of him and belittle him in front of his guests. Asahi had priceless wines in his collection and had no idea how to take care of them, and Nishina claimed to be an expert in wines, but, according to Sawaki, everything he wrote in his books about wines was entirely wrong. Sawaki says only those 4 were his actual targets. He attacked everyone else because he wanted to frame Joe Murakami for the murders. He set a trap for himself in the wine cellar to further remove suspicion. The bombs were planted to kill Nishina by drowning, as Sawaki knew Nishina couldn't swim, and he hoped to kill everyone else in the flooded restaurant should they not make it back to shore as well. He had the idea to frame Murakami when he accidentally ran into the former convict in front of Kogoro's detective agency. Murakami explained he wanted to apologize to Kogoro for his crimes and especially for taking Eri hostage. Sawaki saw a cheap scapegoat, invited Murakami to his home, got him drunk and strangled him. Sawaki tries to escape to the rooftop, taking Ran hostage. Kogoro, Megure, and Conan chase after Sawaki to the heliport, while Shishido and Ford help Nishina swim to the shore. Shiratori corners Sawaki and points his gun at him. Conan notices his hands are shaking and worries that Shiratori might accidentally hit Ran if he shoots with unsteady hands. Shiratori drops his gun and confers with Megure, preparing to take Sawaki down. Sawaki notices and demands Conan bring the gun to him. As Conan walks up to Sawaki, he finally realizes why Kogoro ended up injuring Eri 10 years ago. An injured hostage is a burden for the kidnapper, and he wanted to make Murakami let go of her. Conan decides to do the same, firing the gun and lightly grazing Ran's shoulder. Sawaki lets go of her and Ran faints from hypothermia and exhaustion. Kogoro takes Sawaki down and helps Conan stop Ran from sliding down the rooftop. Sawaki wants to kill himself, but Kogoro stops him, saying he has to face the consequences of his crimes. A rescue helicopter arrives and takes everyone back to shore. Kogoro suddenly remembers he is scared of heights when they are up in the air. Ran is sent to hospital to be treated for hypothermia. She keeps holding on to the ace of spades, saying Shinichi protected me. When she recovers, Conan and Ran go to visit Eri, and Ran tells her mother she now knows why she separated from Kogoro. Eri says that is only half of the story. Kogoro and she went home after her wound was treated, and Eri started preparing dinner for her family. Kogoro, in his charming way, wanted to tell her to take it easy and rest, but what he actually said is, "I won't be able to eat anything. Your cooking is disgusting." Eri was furious, packed up her things, and left her husband that same night. Ran and Conan share a sheepish grin. They both know Eri is anything but a good cook. Thank you for watching until the end of the video. Remember to like, share and subscribe to support our channel, and don't forget to press the notification bell button to not miss upcoming interesting videos. See you later.